And we have more breaking news. Opening statements are underway in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial. Prosecutors claim Combs ran a criminal enterprise with his trusted inner circle and committed crime after crime for 20 years. Now the defense is responding, accusing the government of trying to turn choices among consenting adults into a racketeering case. The defense also says the now infamous hotel security video of Combs and then girlfriend Cassie Ventura shows a fight over a phone.
Okay, so you know how there's always something huge happening in the entertainment world? Seems like every day.
Yeah, it never stops.
Well, right now, it feels like all eyes are on this major trial involving Sean Diddy Combs. And what's really stirring things up is the testimony we're hearing. It's powerful stuff.
Absolutely. And, you know, forget all the media buzz and, like, the speculation for a second. What we're really going to dig into today is the heart of it, what's actually being said in court. That's Cassie Ventura's testimony in this sex trafficking trial against Combs.
Exactly. We've got this pretty detailed report here. It's from the Express Tribune, dated May 13th, 2025. And it really gets into the nitty-gritty of what Ventura testified to. So for you listening, our mission today basically is to unpack the key parts of her account and understand why it's just carrying so much weight in this trial, cutting through the noise. So let's start right at the beginning. Who exactly is Cassie Ventura in relation to all this?
Right. So Ventura is Sean Diddy Combs' former girlfriend. But in this trial, she's way more than that. She's really a key witness. Legal folks watching this say her testimony gives the prosecution this, like, critical inside look.
Right, because she was there. She's providing that insider's perspective, into what the prosecution is calling, a pattern of exploitation and abuse. It's one thing to have allegations floating around, but her being there, testifying directly, that feels different. Significant.
Totally. Her account gives them a firsthand story, right, about Combs' alleged actions and the kind of environment he supposedly fostered.
The article mentions their relationship actually started out, well, professionally. She signed with his label, Bad Boy Records, pretty young, 19. And at first, it was described as, like, platonic, just work. You see that sometimes in music, don't you? That kind of start.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Lots of connections in entertainment begin like that, purely professional. But what's really crucial here, based on the testimony, is how that relationship allegedly, well, it warped over time into something completely different. And pretty disturbing, according to her account.
And that's where her testimony apparently gets really, really dark. She talks about this shift into a relationship defined by alleged abuse and control. The article specifically mentions these freak-offs. That name itself is pretty stark. What did she say those actually were?
According to her testimony, yeah, these freak-offs were basically sex parties Combs allegedly organized involving male prostitutes. And the article really stresses that she felt, completely unable to refuse going, trapped.
Because he had so much power over her, is that the idea?
Yeah.
Like control over her music career or professional life?
Exactly.
And probably huge influence personally, too. It really does paint a picture of someone feeling totally stuck, How did that control, how did it supposedly work, based on what she said?
Well, the article suggests Combs allegedly controlled both her, job opportunities and her personal choices. It created this situation where she felt like she couldn't say no to his demands without risking her career or maybe facing other, bad consequences.
And these weren't quick one-off things either, were they? The article says they could go on for up to 4 days. That's a long time.
Yeah.
What kind of impact did that have, according to her testimony?
Well, she testified about how long they lasted, which kind of highlights the alleged level of control and just the ongoing impact on her. The article also points out there was alleged drug use involved and forced sexual encounters happening during these freak-offs.
Which sounds just horrifying. It's not just the act, it's the alleged coercion, the whole atmosphere being described. And the toll on Ventura, physically, emotionally, must have been huge. The article mentions this, right? That she felt completely drained, needed serious recovery time afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. The piece highlights that these weren't just isolated incidents with minor fallout. Her testimony describes this alleged pattern of sustained events that reportedly had a really significant, lasting negative effect on her health, both physical and emotional.
And it wasn't just about these freak-offs, right? Her testimony, according to the article, also covered other alleged abuse, physical,
That's a really key point, yeah. It wasn't only those specific events. Ventura also testified about frequent violent outbursts from Combs. The article gives specific examples, him allegedly hitting her, dragging her. She described physical assaults during arguments that apparently left bruises, knots, visible injuries.
Wow, that paints an even more disturbing picture of the whole relationship dynamic. Suggests a pattern, like you said, that went beyond those specific parties into, like, their everyday life together, allegedly. And then there's this whole fear element. Her worrying about blackmail, keeping broken phones and iPads. That adds another layer to the alleged control, doesn't it?
It really does. Her reportedly keeping those broken devices, just in case. I mean, that speaks volumes about the kind of distrust and fear she allegedly felt. It suggests she was worried that, compromising stuff could be used against her, which would just strengthen Combs's alleged power over her even more.
The article really hammers home how vital Ventura's testimony is for this case. They actually call her Victim 1 in the indictment. That's a very specific legal term, isn't it? Pretty significant.
It is, yeah. That label really underscores just how central her account is seen within the legal case against Combs. It suggests her experiences, her testimony are foundational to the charges they're bringing.
Okay, and just so we're all clear on the legal side, what are the actual charges Combs is up against in this trial?
He's facing some very serious federal charges, racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation for prostitution. Racketeering, in this kind of context, often points to a pattern of alleged criminal activity conducted through an organization or enterprise.
Yeah, those are incredibly serious charges. And, of course, we absolutely have to state Combs has denied everything, all these allegations. The article makes that clear, too.
That's crucial to remember, definitely. While Ventura's testimony presents this narrative, Combs has consistently and publicly stated he's innocent of all of it.
Right. But the article also mentions that Ventura's story is reportedly backed up by evidence from an earlier civil lawsuit she filed. How does that connection work? Does the fact similar stuff came up before add weight to what she's saying now in the criminal trial?
It potentially could, yeah. The fact that similar allegations were raised before in a different legal setting can provide context. It might bolster the perceived consistency, maybe the credibility of her claims in this trial. It sort of suggests a pattern of alleged behavior that's surfaced more than once, legally speaking.
Okay, so when you piece it all together, Ventura's testimony, as laid out in this article, it paints a picture that's, well, starkly different from what the defense is likely going to argue. It really seems like it's giving the prosecution what they see as powerful evidence about alleged abuse of power, both in Combs' career and specifically in their relationship.
That's exactly the potential impact here. Her detailed story is forcing this kind of reevaluation of Combs' public persona, the nature of his relationships, especially focusing on the alleged exploitation and abuse of his power and influence.
So let's try and wrap this up. We've taken a really close look today at Cassie Ventura's really pivotal testimony in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. We used that Express Tribune report as our guide. We walked through the allegations of the alleged coercion, those disturbing details about the freak-offs, the claims of physical and emotional abuse beyond those events, and that reported fear of blackmail. It's pretty clear her account is, like, a cornerstone of the prosecution's case here.
No doubt. This testimony, if these allegations are ultimately proven true, it really does offer a very harsh look at the potential power imbalances that can exist in the entertainment industry and the kinds of serious misconduct allegations that can apparently emerge from those kinds of structures.
Yeah. And that brings us to maybe a final thought for you listening to chew on. When you consider the specifics that came out in Ventura's testimony, the alleged control, the abuse of power, the fear she described, what does this whole situation suggest about the huge challenges people might face when they're in relationships with really powerful figures, not just in entertainment, but maybe, anywhere with big power differences? And what does it mean for accountability when these kinds of stories finally come out into the open? Definitely gives you something to think about.